Assalamu alaikum, hello and welcome to my show Connecting with Saima Parwaz. I hope all of you are doing great and waiting to see my today's guest. My today's guests are Ayoun and Sabeeya, everyone's favorite. How are you
Thank
guys?
you.
Welcome
Thank
to the
you.
show.
Thank you.
Happy
Happy
New
New
Year.
Year's.
Happy New Year.
Seeing you after a while.
Yeah.
Yes.
Nice to see you.
Yeah,
So,
likewise.
what we're going to discuss today?
Oh, it's a lot of
I
different
think,
areas of.
yeah, it's going to be a packed show.
Yeah.
Real estate intertwined with family. You said you wanted to dabble in immigration, right? So we'll just go right into that.
Yeah. So, office is busy?
Office is busy, but with litigation, not with the contemporary real
Closings.
estate and closings.
Yeah.
That's obviously significantly less. Everybody
Yeah.
knows, but we're getting a lot of litigation.
But that is helpful? Is helping people?
It's helping them execute difficult situations.
Yeah.
And where they would be potentially now seeing years and years of litigation, they're finding their way, to us to help them, come out of that difficult situation to come to a clean end. And it's mostly with real estate litigation, where they're unable to
It's
close.
about mitigation, right? So people have given an insane amount of deposits to builders, but now that property values have gone down, people are struggling with not just closing, but the fact that they now need to produce a lot of more money to cover the lower end appraisals that they're getting. So I mean, you can work around it. We definitely recommend that if anybody who's watching this show is in a situation like that, they can call us. It's always good to speak to a lawyer,
Of course.
get consultation. There's no fixed advice to everybody. Everybody's situation is
It's
different. Everybody's objectives are
And you
different.
can get like, what Ayoun and I like to say, like very condescending or undermining emails from the opposition. Like for instance, a builder, they can be intimidating. And, overnight, a person that is unable to close, they may feel the pressure, mentally, physically, that, oh my goodness, it's just a unilateral conversation and what they're saying is written in stone. But it's not like that. There will always be conversations that can roll into negotiations. And then if it finds its way into litigation, then there are positive ways to come out of
But
it.
now the builders are more polite because
You
they
think
want
so?
to close. No?
We don't see that side.
I respectfully disagree. The problem that we're seeing now is a lot of closings are not happening.
Yeah.
So you have to understand, even these builders and their lawyers and their associates, everybody unfortunately is there to make money. So if they're not making money by closing it, they have to accommodate. I'm not saying it's an ideal situation, but a lot of
But
these people are misusing the fact that people are at a dead end.
But I want to retract back and I want to clarify for the viewers, like what that issue is. So it's when they purchased high, and now when the banks are appraising it, there's a gap in the value of what they thought that they would be getting from the bank, and then they would have the buying power to just purchase out this property from the builder. But unfortunately, the gap is between the builder and the way the banks are now appraising it, which is, now
SRBC is covering it. Right?
potentially
Yeah,
whatever
yeah.
bank, and it's that gap of funds that they're unable to produce now, because not everybody has that friend or family on standby who's going to lend them $200,000, $300,000.
Mortgages on their
Absolutely, and it's that gap.
Sometimes that's not
That's
even
the issue.
possible.
Yeah.
What I also see now is a lot of these good builders, which is a recommendation to the viewers that are watching the show, that anybody who is interested in getting a new unit, a new house, placing a booking, make sure you're doing it with well-known builders. The reason why I say that is because I'm seeing that Madame, Daniels, these bigger builders, some of their closings, same issue with the bank, but what they've done is they've collaborated with the bank. So now the bank is giving something called a blanket appraisal.
And when you do have like a team of good lawyers and then your broker, they help you bring those funds together, right? So Ayoun will come in and then, or I will come in and we'll have those conversations with the bank or the builder, and we'll push to bring those proceeds together to fill that gap.
Yeah. It's primarily because even the banks are now seeing, you know, innocent people that genuinely were ready to close. So let's just say, let me give you an example. The house is $1 million. They say that at least 20% of down payment should be given for you to have an approval. So people had that in mind. People even accounted for the 20%, they accounted for closing costs, land transfer. But because of the short appraisal, because they were short of that balance due on closing, a lot of people weren't able to close. Even the people that planned well could not close because it's very unexpected. So this is where the banks come in and they see, hey, are we dealing with a builder that's recognized, that has done projects in the past? Because then what they're doing is they're allowing blanket appraisals. So they say that if you go through a particular bank, so let's just say Mattami's building in Oakville or some city, obviously reach out to us. We can definitely connect with the builder. We can find out who the preferred bank is, and that potentially may really help you because you won't have to worry about having lesser appraisals because they're giving you blanket appraisals.
Like the gap
overall.
in the funds.
Yeah. So that's helping people a lot. So that's one of the ways.
But it's also, I would say, Ayoun, it's having the key conversations at the right juncture, right? Now, if you've passed a certain amount of dates and, you know, there were potential closing dates and now you're sweating because you didn't do the due diligence of coming in at the right time and having the right conversations with the lawyer, then you know what, you've provided the lawyer a botched situation where if you came in diligently at the right time, your lawyer can make the right phone calls, have the right conversations, connect you with the right people, and help you navigate yourself out of that situation.
It's another
Right?
problem that we're seeing.
So it's
people,
about time.
Right.
Yeah.
People come to us sometimes when they're really deep down into a hole.
They're at the
They've
cusp
communicated
of it.
with the builder.
They've tried to use ChatGPT.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like insane. They're using ChatGPT.
And
It's
then
helpful.
Destroying
ChatGPT is
the
helpful,
it's not.
It's not. Even today, I don't know how
Like, they
10
think
years
they're
from now it's
lawyering
going to be.
up.
But right now, ChatGPT is not a replacement
They-
for lawyers.
Yeah, they don't know
Allows.
the linguistics, and then
Even
they
we
just
rely on AI software sometimes, and I always test these softwares to see, is it smart enough to come up with, resolution for our clients? It's not the same.
we're laughing at
It's
it
not
because
the
we're
same.
like, oh my goodness, it's sending the person off in the opposite direction of what we
Yeah.
would have advised.
Often, like AI software would give you answers that cater your question. Sometimes you want somebody to be very critical,
Yeah.
rather than somebody saying, hey, you know what, you can do this, and AI is trying to work it out for you. Sometimes that's not the way to approach it. Sometimes you have to take the challenge head on. So I would definitely say that anybody who's interested in doing real estate, it's a buyer's market. It's a good time if anybody wants to buy a house for themselves. Prices have gone down, I think, by 15%, I would say, in some areas.
they said they're gonna go a little bit up now.
Yeah.
Well,
But for the optimistic economical outlook,
Yeah.
right? Like pivoting off of that.
I think that assumption is based off of past trends, what we saw in 2008 and then 2015. And I definitely think there is a turnaround. I think it will all depend on how our prime minister, directs this country. We are heavily reliant on the U.S. We're not in the best position or best relationship with them. So I think we need to look elsewhere, and we see now our prime minister visiting
Different
Qatar
countries,
and
yeah.
China and
The
trying to
very-
make a new world order, right? A different order for our country.
Okay, tell me, there is one thing. When they say builder sues the buyer, right? When they're not able to close, when do they sue? Like, what is that time?
So typically, the builder does not sue you. The builder will basically give you a notice, because a good diligent purchaser would reach out to the builder prior to the closing and say, hey, look, I know the closing is coming up in an X amount of weeks, but there's no way for us to close. So the builder starts to know exactly what the intention is, and they'll start sending you very aggressive letters that may not go very well with purchasers because they're already so anxious.
I feel like they try to push
People get scared.
the buyer to
Absolutely,
arrange the funds. Like you'll get a lot of those notices, like, you know, if you, once you've passed that closing date, I think that's your red line.
Yeah.
You know, the actual closing date, whatever
So
that may be.
As soon as your closing date comes, I think
Yes.
the answer to your question is as soon as the closing date comes, regardless of whether they're going to sue you or not, they'll give you a default letter. It's a generic letter. They're going to say that you've been held in default. And as of the closing date, they have the right to keep the deposits because I think
Many of these contracts have a forfeit clause.
Exactly.
Right?
So the moment you go in default-
what lay people don't read,
right.
and that will be initiated.
So what happens afterwards?
So the first thing they'll do is they'll send you a default letter. They will keep the deposit, and they will hold on to, you know, the response from the purchaser. If the purchaser continues to say that there's no way that they can close, they would initiate proceedings in the civil court.
Right away or after 2 years? I heard until they sell
Oh
the
no,
property.
a lot of them are going aggressively.
So a lot of people, what they're doing is because civil litigation takes time. It's not, if they start after 2 years, this potential purchaser could run away. You know, people are leaving Canada in scores, so they don't want to take the chance. So what they'll do is they'll definitely initiate proceedings, and based on fair market value of the property. So let's just say if you bought a house for $1 million and now you couldn't close it, and the builder now has to go to the market, sell it for a lesser price, they know approximately what that difference is. So that becomes the damage for that, the claim, the civil claim. So the litigation doesn't come immediately, because a lot of times, this is for the viewers too, if you're in a situation like that, we recommend to engage with the lawyer, because the lawyer can delay that process productively, because the lawyer can say, hey, you know what, let's not start litigation, let's talk about what can be done. So we talk about finances, we talk about, you know, the current circumstance of the purchaser, for the builder to understand, is it even worth going into litigation? If my client does not have a lot of funds and does not hold any assets in Canada, it's different when they have assets, because then they can get an order against you and then retrieve money from there. But we really work with clients that don't have any other assets, and we explain it to the builder that even if they want to pursue, it may not be the best way forward, because they can get orders from a judge, but if the person doesn't have the money, then they just sit on the order. So it really is an intense conversation that lawyers have with these builders, and also that when the builders see that lawyers are engaged, they tend not to go into litigation immediately, because they know, okay, they've hired a lawyer, they've spent money because they want to resolve the issue.
And then and also there's an advantage there, like there's an advantageous point where, like, I feel like our community should understand, when you engage a lawyer, we're instantly also put on the same pedestal for the opposition's lawyer. So now it's like we get through to their lawyer. Now you're just not talking to a clerk on the other end. Now we've now pushed that we also want to talk to your lawyer, so let's get on a call.
Right.
And that's almost immediately. Like, we don't waste time there. And I feel like a lot of our clients are satisfied in that mannerism, because they're like, you know what, we've been trying for weeks on, and we were unable to get the builder's lawyer on the phone. And I'm glad now we've channeled these conversations, because you've spoken on our behalf and advocated for us, and now we're getting the responses that we wanted to hear.
Right.
So these are like major, I would say, steps within the legal process that people don't realize. You can kind of channel through with your lawyer, like they don't understand that until they're in it.
People should have very good lawyers.
100%. You need somebody.
Because the new lawyers, they just get scared.
Yes. Oh,
The problem
that's a
is
different conversation.
you'll either have lawyers that are way too aggressive, unnecessarily,
Yeah.
or too timid at the
Too
same time.
timid, yeah. They I always say they're becoming sharks way too early in the process. Like, they're
Yeah.
unnecessarily pushing you in
cannot go
litigation.
if you know that your client is in a situation that's not ideal.
Can't afford it. Yeah.
You have to work around it. You have to
Yeah.
see, okay, well, this is what I'm going to say to the lawyer. How are we going to approach this? How are we going to address the issues? Like I said, finances. If the person doesn't have money, well, is it worth going into
Saima, you
those
like
things?
honestly, like when we're dealing with clients, we look at all aspects. Honestly, are they even emotionally in tune to take on the task of litigation? You would be surprised people are not. They're tired.
Yeah.
They're psychologically, mentally tired, and a lot of them suffer from anxiety.
Yeah. I've had people telling
and
me that, you
it's
know,
a very timid process.
take our
Yeah, like money's not
deposits
an issue.
completely,
Get us out of it.
just get us out of it.
And
Many
when,
people, many
yes,
people,
and when
yeah.
we say, you know, and then when they, tell us their personal materialized facts, obviously very confidential, you realize that, okay, they may have, the money to go into litigation, but morally and ethically, it's not right to push them into it. They're not, they shouldn't be in it, and their health is coming first. And then
But
you
I think
have
government,
those.
that's what I was thinking, like government should step in now. Because people,
I think ideally, so the problem, the reason why we're here where we are right now is because the government, provincial and federal, they did a lot of things at the same time. They killed the immigration switch.
yes,
They killed the foreign investment switch.
yeah, that is the fact
They
thing too.
increased capital gains. People that were trying to make money, they basically made the foreign investor an enemy. That's the picture they painted, because
As a
inflation was going
layperson on
up.
ground this is what we're seeing.
And this is what I used to say, even I think we met a couple of years ago when we were doing our show, that it's not the immigration or it's not the capital gains being less that's driving prices up. It's the non-regulation of the profession. So, sharp practices within the real estate agents. Bidding's okay. There's nothing wrong with bidding, but when you're selling a property from 1.1 to 1.3, just misguiding their own clients, saying, hey, because newcomers, they don't know.
We don't know.
When you
They're
newly
relying
come to
on
Canada,
a good
they-
agent's
Exactly.
due
It's the
diligence, yeah.
miscommunication, it's the non-regulation of the profession. And then we wrongfully blamed inflation on immigration and all these things because it was the mismanagement of the government. So anyhow, they killed off all these things together that kind of, just deflated the market altogether. And I don't think it's the end of the world. I think there can be a turnaround, just like they killed the switch to all
That's
these
what I'm
things.
telling my clients, it's not the end of the world.
It's not the end of the world, absolutely.
Good
People
times.
that
There's
are,
always light at the
people
end of the
that-
tunnel.
Exactly. People that are investing into properties right now, the same people, mark my words, today is what? January 19th, 2026. Mark my words, the same people a couple of years from now, I'm not saying 6 months. 6 months you'll start seeing improvement. But the same purchasers after a couple of years will be sitting on a lot of equity. And they were thinking, oh yeah,
I hope.
right when we
Yeah.
thought it was a dead end, things turn around. That's just how market cycles
When
are.
it's so low, there has to be an up.
Yeah,
It has to.
yeah.
Right?
We saw this in 2008. We saw this in 2014 or 15, and then we saw the same thing in many of the last years that we've seen. It's like a roller coaster. Yes, the roller coaster is really, really down this
But
time.
mostly, I think immigrants, they buy the properties, many properties.
So
I would say, okay, fine. The baby boomers retired and are now sitting in it. The millennials who now have families, small families like Ayoun and I, they wanted to tap into the market. I think they're almost just about. A lot of our friends have purchased and are in their own properties. And I think it's the next generation, Gen X.
Gen X, yeah.
Yeah,
Gen X.
that is for Canadians starting to navigate the conversations, but they're not really there yet. They're in the marriage chapter, I find. Like they're the generation now getting marriage contracts or have tiny little investments in like condos, townhouses, and then the rest I would say is immigration.
And
immigrants.
the whole condo crisis that we always talk about, condos, it's bad, I get that, but a lot of people don't discuss the actual elephant in the room, which is condos are being treated differently than single family residential homes, not because condos were not, beneficial or good for investment. It's because of, and I keep on saying this for years and years, the condos, most recent condos were not made according to even the most basic family size. They're literally pigeonholes. So there was a time where mass immigration was coming, young students were coming, and they were renting it. So you had investors buying these condos, you had immigration coming, filling in those condos. So now you've killed the immigration switch,
Yeah.
right?
So
Now
who's
you've
gonna
killed,
make it?
you've taken away the foreign investment, so no one's buying those. So the whole idea of single people. So now what you do is you rely on people that are families. Family of, like my family, I have a wife, I have a kid. Even for a family of 3, those condos are
Not enough.
big enough.
No,
So
they're not.
guess what? They're
Maybe
sitting
single
empty.
person can live there.
Yeah.
But nowadays, even single people are wanting to be
they
in a
just stay
house, in a
home.
town. Yeah.
They're just staying home.
Yeah, people
They're
are
just
staying
with their parents and they're okay.
Yeah.
First, it wasn't a conversation to be proud about, but now people are loud and proud about it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm home, and this is just the economy, you know?
Yeah.
So you don't have those people who, the new family, or, you know, that bachelor who's almost gonna get married, or, you know, the potentials of, or, you know, the dating person. You don't have those conversations of, oh, I'm gonna go sit in that condo. But when Ayoun, you and I were when we were younger and we were starting off, our friends were in condos.
Right.
They were
Everyone
living
was
on
in
their
condos,
own and
yeah.
then eventually married and then moved out and then purchased their home when they came together. But I notice now, like, the next generation isn't doing that. They're going from being with their parents, getting married, and now going and being with in-laws.
Yeah.
So there's no in
If they're
between
not
anymore.
lazy, because my kids are very lazy. I think they're gonna live in a condo.
No, you know, I feel, so I would never say that, you know, they're lazy, but I think the reason why,
She's just
the,
joking.
I know. The reason why they perhaps feel that is because the reality that they woke up to,
It's gloomy.
it's really bad.
It's gloomy.
People that were born after 2010,
Yeah.
I think a good age for you to open your eyes is when you're like 14, 15 years old, you're in high school, you get to know the world, and they're seeing a very dark and a negative
Difficult
environment. So
economy.
it's the pessimism that gets to them, and then they don't know what to do. Like people,
I'm not a psychiatrist in any way, but I think they have the so what mentality.
yeah,
So what?
Because
Ho jayega.
that's their coping mechanism, right?
And then
That's
the kind of
coping
parents we are,
mechanism,
we
yeah.
help them.
Absolutely.
You know, we cripple them even more. Because we're
But
like, oh, let's just get
I
it done.
definitely think that condo market, as we speak, not in the best shape, but if we get foreign investment, if we get
More immigrants, probably.
immigration should normalize, but not at unsustainable levels. What they did, they started inviting students, like 900,000 students in 1 year is not sustainable. That's, again, you're talking about profits and colleges profiting from it as well. A lot was going on. So they need to reset. They need immigration. We cannot survive without immigration, but structured with merit, people that actually deserve, like Dubai, United Arab Emirates. They're saying, you want to come to our country, find a job, and we'll give you immigration. It's such a clean incentive. You don't have to run around, sit there for years and years. You find a job and you get it. So I think once foreign investment opens,
And another avenue for them was, if you invest $1 million into a home, then we're also going to give you a lifetime visa, which was for Saudi. And
Yeah.
I found that interesting because Canada had kind
I
of,
think that is also in Dubai, I guess.
yeah,
They-
like a minimum of $1
Something
million,
similar, yeah.
right?
so I think
that would
yes,
get real
we
estate
do
booming
rely,
too.
we need to do two things. It's not just about foreign investment. That's the mistake we did with the US. And now look what's happening to us, right? Because now they're saying, hey, we don't want to work with you and we're left alone. So I think we need to build as well. So when you get foreign investment, it's not just about Qatar or China or Oman or these countries coming and putting their money in. It's also about us using our natural resources. We have, you know, I think what 80% of Canada is not inhabited. Like it's like empty space. And under these mountains, and especially Alberta and British Columbia, there's millions and billions tons of rare earth minerals and gas and coal. And I think we need to not just rely on the US and sell everything to them, diversify our markets, expand ourselves so then people see an opportunity. And I think
course.
Canada's, in comparison to America, America's right now at its peak. It's looked at its peak. Canada has still a lot of potential. So, you know, good.
Even our people are hard workers.
100%.
Absolutely.
Yeah, if we fix our immigration policies, if we allow sustainable immigration, again, people with merit, people that are educated that can actually contribute, not just students coming in, trying to get education and then running back and sending money back. It's just not.
It's kind of counterproductive.
And I'm again, I always say this, I'm not saying everyone that immigrated to this country is misusing it, but it's just, it's lopsided. They come here, they try to study, some of them are really working hard. I go to retail stores, people are working really hard, but there is a portion where petty crime came in, there's a part of immigration where benefits were being used, so people are not even here and they have health benefits. So again, regulation with the health department, seeing is this person really entitled to health benefits? Is this person paying tax? And I think honestly, if we focus on these key things, I think even something like a condo market who's struggling so bad could have a turnaround. And we could see that turnaround. Allow people to come in, open Amazon offices, allow all these international hospitals to come in, all these things. So that way, again, because they're not going to demolish these units with small units. They're there, they need to be occupied. Allow people to come in, so those single people, just a couple that wants to stay in Toronto, work, could diversify their
But
portfolio.
should they stop building more condos for now?
I think that they should continue building relatively bigger condos.
You're talking about the per unit size.
We're talking about the square footage.
Yeah.
So
Right now, I think 600, 650, something like that,
Yeah.
one bedroom.
yeah, I don't think they need to build condos like the way they did in the last 5 years. Not at that level, but they should definitely go into areas where they know where they know people are interested in living economically with affordability. Nowadays, a lot of people that do condo closings, just their closing costs reach up to $35,000.
So can you also explain this to my client
Yeah.
and my viewers? What is included in the closing cost?
Right. So, in a nutshell, I always tell my clients, if you know that your closing cost is, let's just say, numerically 100,000, that make sure that you have that extra $20,000, $30,000. Not saying that you're going to use it, but do not go into a contract by, at the neck. So don't be stuck in a situation where you don't have a lot of wiggling space for cash, because condo units, levies, carry-on fees, land transfer tax, these costs can really inflate the final closing costs. So when you're going into a contract, understand that you work with the builder about capping your levies. So levies is the main culprit. Like sometimes these levies are like $20,000, $15,000. But if you can limit and you can put a cap on it, a lot of these builders that are now desperate to sell, this is a buyer's market. So as much as you think resale is doing well, if you go right now to any builder and ask for incentives, a lot of them are open to that conversation.
But not the previous ones, what they have signed already.
Obviously, that's a legal battle. That's a different story. But anybody who's wanting to go
now
into,
and going forward,
anybody who's wanting to go into any
So what are
contract.
the few things buyers need to see in a contract?
the first thing that comes out to me is the option to sell it.
Assign.
Exactly.
Assignment, yeah.
So to assign and to make sure that that is there.
Yeah.
I feel like that
Without
can
probably any fees. Right?
exactly that can be
That's exactly
something
the
that
point,
you
yeah.
should have.
Probably, most of them they put like 15,000, 20,000. Right?
Yeah.
So on the
Right now, the way market is, even if you say zero, they'll.
yes, I think that
They'll
they'll
have
have their lawyers draft that in, because I feel like throughout the entire course, right? Whether that be 2 years or 3 years or whatever, how many years, it's a very subjective process. It gives you some fresh air. Like you think, you know what, it's okay. If I can't do it, I can just reassign. If I can't do it, and what reassign really just means is you cannot close and you're literally reselling it to someone else.
So they can close, they can sell it before closing, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So throughout that, and a good agent like yourself would explain that to their clients at that juncture. So it's like, I feel like psychologically and mentally, especially in this economy, that really helps clients that are in a difficult situation, especially those coming out of a divorce and now they're navigating the market to rebuy. When I give them my closing remarks, and when we talk just off the record, I always say, make sure like some simple few clauses are there when you're out canvassing the market so that you don't find yourself in a new difficult situation.
It's true.
Right? So that clause for sure. Sorry to cut you off.
No, and it's okay. Assignment. So you have to look at it objectively. Everybody's different. Some people are buying for investment purposes. Some people want to live in it themselves. Some people are thinking of short-term rentals. Like, it really depends on what you want. So you're mostly looking at levies. You're looking at any restrictions to the property after closing. You're looking at assignment fees. You're looking at the deposit structure. Make sure that you know exactly when these deposits are due. Typically, if you miss a deadline for a deposit, it's a straight default. So it's not like you can go to them and say, oh, can you give me another month to pay? They don't really like that because that, negatively affects the integrity of the agreement. So you want to look at how much delay can the builder utilize if they cannot close on time. So some of the builders I know, they're taking it up to 2031. What that means is that if you have given a deposit on a property,
Also, they can wait.
the builder
Yes.
can take up until 2031.
Which is unreasonable.
It's an
Because
unreasonable.
now you have your money tied up in there.
Exactly.
And for a lot of people,
And-
that's their life savings.
Exactly, and you don't, you cannot take that deposit back. You're stuck in it, and you have an obligation to close. So all these things, again,
That's a
we
very
don't-
good point you made.
Yeah, I
It
don't.
happened during pandemic, right?
Yeah,
The people, they booked their
purchased them.
properties in 2016, 17,
Yeah.
and then it was stuck for
Stuck for like 7 years, 8 years,
And
especially
then
condominiums.
I remember some clients coming to our firm and telling us that, listen, they've defaulted and they're no longer building that project, or they are now have taken
Or they're
everybody into litigation. And even though I put in 100,000, the payout is significantly less. So that was also very scary for, a few of our clients that had come in.
Yeah.
Some lucked out and got exactly what they had put in. They got out.
So what happens if they declare the bankruptcy, the builders?
Like in the middle of a closing, you see?
No, like prior to the
they're
project.
So bankruptcy is its own category
Yeah.
of
It's a creditors.
its own process. So
Yeah.
if a bankruptcy was to happen, the builder would reach out to
But the buyers can
trustee.
get their money back?
It depends on
Sometimes
how
no.
it really depends on what the court order, and there's
depends on assets, right?
it
How
depends
much
on the
does-
payouts, like are the creditors, like where they
Yeah.
are in the lineup of payouts.
So let me give you an example. I am a builder. I buy land for $200 million, and I get a mortgage for building, a complex of properties. And closing comes, and the property, like a lot of builders were struggling, small-time builders. These properties are now not as much worth, or people are not wanting to close. So I still, as builder, I still owe money to the lender, because when I close, when a purchaser closes, I take that money and pay off my loan that I took. So now, because there's a very high percentage of people not closing, and it's going into litigation for years, that lender is not going to wait for anyone. So that lender is now coming after these builders and saying, hey, we want our money. We don't really care about, how you're going to, which is what's creating the actual ruckus. But if the builder files for bankruptcy, the bankruptcy trustee basically would liquidate the builder and see how much assets does he have, Does he have money? So creditors are, they're organized by priority. So first priority would be the bank. Second priority would probably be, the deposits. Third priority would be, so once these banks are paid, if there's anything left over,
Then it's
then
dispersed.
that's dispersed back to the purchasers as deposits. So let's just say you owe the lender $200 million, and now you only have 150 left. You're already short $50 million, so you cannot pay the deposit back. So that becomes part of notorious litigation. Purchasers come after these builders. They really go see if these builders have any money. And the problem is that these builders they're hidden behind corporations. So if the corporation is putting its belly up and saying, we don't have the money, you could get an order, but sometimes you may not ever recover. But again, like I always say, it's not the end of the world. It's not, that's just the worst case scenario.
The utmost worst.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think it's always a good idea to talk to a lawyer, get consultation. Not every contract's the same, not every situation is the same. And we definitely encourage people that are in that situation. You don't have to retain a lawyer necessarily, but as a good starting point, I know for a fact that once somebody comes into my office and I tell them how it's done, there's a very high percentage of these people retaining us. But even if you're scared that, lawyer is going to cost you a lot, get that
Can you
initial
get a
consultation.
legal help from the government in this matter, in real estate?
No, I mean, there are programs that the government pays for your legal, but there are no legal.
I think that's
the
for
government does
family
not
law
have
and stuff, I guess.
family
Oh,
law.
that's you're
some part
talking.
of
Are you? I
litigation,
think
yeah.
like legal aid is what
Legal
you're
aid is-
talking about.
yeah, yeah.
There's legal aid.
So, but that's just a financial.
For that's like a whole different conversation,
Yeah.
but it's
like
like
if you
its
have
own
low
process.
income, then the government says that okay,
You
know
can't
what,
own property
we can
for
cover
it.
some portion of your
Yeah.
legal fees. That's about it. But
There's
it's
like
not
a
legal
way to
representation.
qualify for it, like any other governmental program,
Yeah.
right?
Got it. So, guys, we can go for a short break and I'll see you soon. Hi friends, we are discussing real estate market with Ayoun and Sabeeya. Welcome back, guys.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
All right. Many of my clients, they're asking what is the VTB and abatements and all, and what are some solutions if they want to close with the builders, right? And because their appraisal is so low. So
Correct.
what I think VTB is vendor take back.
Vendor
right?
take back mortgage,
Yeah,
yes.
and which they take from a builder, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we've already discussed, options that people have in terms of closing when there's a problem. We talked about blanket appraisals. That's one of the things. So I don't want to repeat that, but blanket appraisal is preferred banks that are working with builders.
Yeah, where they don't need the appraisal, right?
No, they do need the appraisal, but they're guaranteeing blanket appraisal. What that means is the bank is saying, because we're dealing with a recognized builder, we're going to give the appraisal based on the purchase price rather than going for a fair market value. So a lot of these incentives are now we're seeing in the market because that's the only way to survive. If you cannot close one of the options available, it's not an option, you have to fight for this option, but abatement is basically reducing the purchase price.
Yeah,
So you go to the builder and you say, look, I purchased the property as a bona fide purchaser, as an innocent purchaser who thought that this was the purchase price, and we did all our math, we did all the homework, and now that the closing's coming up, this is not what anybody could have predicted. So not to say that it's the builder's fault or the purchaser's fault, it's just something circumstantial. And the only way to work around it is you could perhaps argue that you need an abatement, because that way there's a small amount of reduction in the purchase price, which benefits the builder because they get to close, they get to take the payment, pass it on to their loans that they
But,
have.
have you ever seen any with the builder?
Absolutely.
yeah.
We
Yeah.
channel those conversations for our
Absolutely.
clients on the daily.
That's
Yeah.
abatement is something that a lot of builders are, because
And we go in very
How many
headstrong
lit-
and confident
how many
when we ask for
litigation-
that.
Do they make a new contract then?
No,
So
there's
there's
adjustments.
there's amendments, yeah. So they would make an amendment to it, and they would give it. I'm not suggesting, again, this is not something that anybody can just write a letter. Don't expect you're going to tell somebody, builder, that, I need an abatement, and they're
it's
going to be
gonna
happy to
happen
give it to you.
automatically.
It's a lot of back and forth. It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's talking
They
to
need
the
definitely a good lawyer, right?
100%. You need somebody who's a good negotiator, talking to and it also depends on how much abatement you want. Sometimes it's a builder will say, hey, I'll give you $10,000 off. It's not good enough.
It's not enough.
The purpose of an abatement is to align yourself with, the fair market value so you can close. Vendor take-back mortgage is another phenomena that we are now seeing very often.
Yeah, it's very many.
It's a lot. It's an instrument that a lot of people are utilizing to accommodate themselves to close. So vendor take-back is basically at the point of closing, the vendor gives you a vendor take-back mortgage, which means that they're giving you a credit of a portion of the purchase price as a mortgage. So what it does is that you pay that much less. So let's just say it's $1 million property, and the builder's giving you $100,000 worth of VTB. That means you can close on 900,000, and 100,000 you owe to the builder at a later stage. That's what your mortgage.
But they take some interest payment every month, right?
100%,
Absolutely,
yeah.
yes.
Interest payment. That's it's still a mortgage. I mean,
But that is a very good interest rate, like a 5% something. I have
yeah,
done with
because
my
it's not an
clients.
institutional lender.
Yeah.
If the builder is reasonable, they have a tendency to have very good attractive interest rates. So it basically the entire purpose of these different instruments is to allow these closings to happen. I mean, if our values were going up, you wouldn't need VTB. You by the time you booked a house and then closing came, you already had equity in it. So second mortgages, like I said, private mortgages were definitely easier before, because if it took 2 years for your property to build, in those 2 years you've already gained $200,000-300,000. Private mortgages are saying, hey, you know what?
So
But
what is the difference between private mortgage and VTB?
VTB is always, it's a vendor take-back mortgage.
Yeah, from
So the
builder,
seller's
right? Yeah.
giving you that credit, and it's structuring it like a mortgage where you kind of pay off over time.
I just want to clarify that
mortgages-
VTB isn't only discretionary to a builder. It could even just be a regular sale, like from a lay person to a lay person.
Like a resale.
A resale.
So we're-
So the
obviously we're-
VTB option is even, they can even exercise that and channel those
Like-
conversations with just a lay seller.
So if I was selling you a property,
Yes,
I could
between
even
two
give you a vendor
people.
take-back.
Oh, okay, got it.
Between
Vendor
two
take-back,
people.
vendor is basically anybody, a seller.
Yeah.
Vendor means
Even
a
in
seller.
even in
Yeah,
a resale.
absolutely. Yes,
Absolutely, yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
So I just want to
You would
clarify that.
define that in your contract. You
Yes.
would say that the VTB is being given. You would define the terms, how it would be paid. Because if you can get a reduction of 200,000, 300,000, and you can pay a minimal on it, at least you close.
Yeah.
That saves you from litigation. That saves you from the headache. Your credit rating going bad, all that kind of bad
And
stuff.
And a
right?
lot of seniors are okay to give it, to provide it, because they're like, well, we have
have
no,
equities, yeah.
absolutely, so
Exactly.
they're okay with that. So the younger couples do kind of have those, like, canvas those conversations, because whom they're buying from are just seniors, so they're like, okay, yes, let's put this into action, and we're ready for that. And then, Ayoun will get those documents prepared. So it's not just, I just want to clarify, it's just not between only a builder. It can be between.
It's not only new construction.
between
it's
two
anywhere.
people as
VTB
well,
can be
the buyer
it's
and the
applicable
seller.
anywhere,
Yeah.
and we're seeing this a lot in commercial closings as well. So surprisingly, commercial real estate is the other way around. Commercial real estate is actually doing well.
Well, yeah, even the businesses. Many
Businesses,
people, they want to
yeah,
buy the
commercial
businesses.
is doing so. It's not all gloomy and bad, but commercial's doing well. So people, older people that are reaching their retirement age want to sell this property, because there is still hesitation in the market. These older people that are sitting on a lot of equity. So a person who bought a unit for $1 million now is worth $3 million. They're okay to give VTBs because it allows them to sell. You still get a lot of that money, and then over time that person pays off the VTB. It's a win-win
They
situation,
can
right?
refinance and
Absolutely, yeah.
We can refinance. There's many different options available to you.
Okay, so these are some solutions, right?
Some solutions, but I would definitely say anybody that's watching the show, call our office. Our numbers are displayed on the screen.
Even
We
if it's
would-
a simple consultation,
Yeah,
even if it's just a question.
no
You know?
questions, a stupid question. I always say this.
Yes, absolutely.
If you are a first-time home buyer, if you are stuck in any legal, real estate, commercial, residential situation where you're unable to close, our number's on the screen. Give us a call. We can have a chat. We can definitely try to come up with a resolution. And the idea is to mitigate the damages, meaning that sometimes it's not as easy saying I'm going to get you out based on the fact that you don't have to pay anything. Sometimes it's about thinking of how to mitigate what a balanced approach is. And I think you need lawyers that know when to be aggressive and that know when to settle
Mediate.
or mediate. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much, guys.
Oh my God, you're
No
welcome.
problem. It's
You
wonderful.
guys always very, very helpful.
Oh, you're
No,
welcome.
we'll inshallah be
Thanks
again
for having
together
us.
again. Absolutely.
Inshallah, inshallah.
Yes, inshallah.
Thank you.
Hi guys, so we were discussing the real estate market and also some solutions how we can close, whoever is having a closing with a builder and they have having issues to close. So you guys can reach to me, you can reach to Sabeeya and Ayoun's firm, and we will definitely help you guys. And there's nothing to panic. Everything will be fine, and we can make Canada great again. Yes, guys?
Absolutely.
Okay. So I'll see you
Absolutely.
again.
Yes.
See you again, inshallah. Thank you.
Allah Hafiz.